Welcome to Story Punk. I am Scott.
And I am Drew.
And today we are here to talk about Normal, the movie. That's not a parenthetical, though. So it's just called Normal.
There's no colon or anything.
Yeah, not like Ready or Not. Here I come. Or Not 2, excuse me. Here I come.
Well, I wondered, is this a prequel to Leaving Normal?
No.
The Edward Zwick movie with Christine Lottie and Meg Tilly. It's like Thelma and Louise, but it's less violent.
Well, that's no fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Normal is a movie with Bob Odenkirk. He is an interim sheriff of a small town that uncovers a dark secret after an attempted robbery of a local bank.
Bob Odenkirk, isn't he that guy that did Funny with David Cross? What's he been up to?
Oh, my God. He's been up to quite a few things. I love Mr. Show.
Classic.
Oh, my God. There's so many things that I love about that show, but this is not a podcast about Mr. Show, although that should be. I'm going to start the Mr. Show podcast show.
I'm sure there have been a few of those.
I'm sure. So many people came out of that.
A Mr. Podcast show with Mr. Show with Bob and David?
Yeah, no, just Mr. Show.
Just Mr. Show.
Well, you had Jack Black was
no, that's true.
First time I ever remember
Jack Black,
him.
who his big break, his big most famous role is Waterworld.
He did, yes. Well, actually, to be honest with you, it probably helped him. I'm sure, but even though Waterworld was not necessarily
don't
received.
Careful.
No, I'm not saying anything
Careful.
bad about it. But anyway, Normal is directed by Ben Wheatley, who also directed Free Fire, which is about a bunch of people shooting each other between boxes. And Meg 2, which is about a big shark.
Have you seen any Ben Wheatley movies?
No, I have not.
I've seen a bunch of his movies, and they are quite distinct in, I think, the vibe, the structure, all sorts of stuff. And it's funny because this is like a big action movie, but it still feels like a Ben Wheatley movie. Not that Ben Wheatley hasn't done action, like Free Fire has action in it, and High Rise and stuff like that.
It also has a cannibal in it.
Which one?
Free Fire.
Oh, yes, it does.
It's got Arm and Hammer. Derek Kolstad, he wrote this. It was a story collaborated on between him and Bob Odenkirk. But
my understanding is, because he also is the guy behind the Nobody films, which is the world first met Bob Odenkirk action hero, those are fantastic.
Yes.
My understanding is they actually developed this first.
Yes. Well,
we're working on it first.
They developed this. They said that this script is older than the Bob Odenkirk action era.
Gotcha.
But it kind of just sat in a drawer.
I will say, if this was Nobody 3, it wouldn't bother me.
Yeah.
But it is different, and I think part of why it's different is that it's a Ben Wheatley movie.
Yeah, I guess so. So this guy, he did write the John Wick, at least the first 3, and Ballerina. I don't know. Did he write the other ones too?
I don't believe he has a writing credit on
4?
On John Wick 4. I'm sure he has the character credit and stuff. But he's one of these guys that, along with the directors, basically reshaped action movies in Hollywood in the past years. And what was John Wick 2014, I think, and nobody comes out of that type of action movie, all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting when they make that sort of movie, but with somebody like Ben Wheatley. I don't love Ben Wheatley's work, but it is distinct, and I think it's interesting to watch them stretch. Like if you watch a James Bond movie, they have a lot of different directors with a lot of different signatures doing things. They don't want to make them too distinct, which is why you won't see Tarantino or Spielberg or somebody make a Bond movie. But this really, it just feels like part of that whole John Wick universe vibe, but it's the furthest away from that, because there's stuff in Nobody that could be in a John Wick movie, like the bus fight and stuff like that, and those movies are a blast.
Yeah, well, it's the one man army, which seems to be very popular.
Well, but it's funny because if you made this movie when we were kids, this would be an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie,
sure,
and it really wouldn't be as interesting.
They actually they made some movie where he was a small town. What's with him? With
Last Stand, I think, with Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah.
And they got a Hong Kong director. I can't remember. And that movie is okay.
Yeah.
This movie is more interesting.
Sure. And so in this, you have Bob Odenkirk. He is the interim sheriff. He's Ulysses. You have Henry Winkler as Mayor Kibner, and then you have Lena Headey, who as most people know is Cersei from from Game of Thrones, and she plays Moira.
She's also in Dread.
Oh, that's right. She is in Dread. She's the person that he's after.
She's Mama.
Yeah.
She has good she has good action movie cred from that alone.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, too bad her character's a little unwritten and underwritten in this movie.
There are a lot of characters in this movie, especially on the bad guys side, and so some of them do feel a little underdeveloped. But that's okay, because this is a kind of movie where you make people distinct enough that if you kill them, you're still kind of surprised, and they kill a lot of them.
Yeah, well, that's true. So I think that this idea of like normal, I mean, in general, so the idea, I mean, it's called normal. I don't know. I feel like a lot of this stuff is not very subtle in this movie, where it's like, it's normal, and it's like, so it's a, this idea that, normalcy is not like it's not like a state or a condition, and I mean state like state of mind, but it's more like that normal is a mask or sort of like a performance. We always ask, as people say, it's kind of a cliche question, but it is a valid question. It's like, well, what is normal? People kind of will, when somebody will say, well, that's not normal, and people always kind of throw that back and as well, what is normal? Which is a valid question.
Well, it was a valid question. I think this movie settles it.
Oh, okay. And so that's sort of like, so the town is called Normal. So that's sort of like the whole, the whole architecture of the story is framed sort of around this like joke, I guess, because the town is not normal. By
spoilers.
Yeah. So apparently the writer Derek Kolstad said, there's no such thing as normal, and this film takes it literally. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't feel like that's necessarily a profound thing to say. You're like, okay, yeah, really? Well, there's no such thing as normal. I kind of get that. So this is it's just a quiet Minnesota town, but where this is different. This isn't some Stephen King story, or this isn't like some of the other movies that we've watched in sort of this Psycho Summer series, where it's not like some kind of secret cult that worships the devil or whatever. This is sort of like
those are other Ben Wheatley movies, actually.
What?
The Kill List is a cult movie, stuff like that.
Okay, yeah. The only thing I know about Kill List is apparently that there's a famous like hammer kill scene.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal, and there's a lot of brutality in this movie.
And but this is the idea that this whole town is complicit in this, not cover up, but this sort of like this
it's a conspiracy,
deception. Yeah, conspiracy. And so it's almost like complicity as infrastructure. And and it's not like these people are making, there's not like this dramatic choice where the people have all decided to become evil. It's not like the secret cult thing where they've made some kind of deal with the devil. They've just basically sold, they're sold on the idea of acting in their and their best interest.
Well, I mean that
happens all the time.
That is, I mean, in this one, the devil that they make a deal with is the Yakuza, and I actually wish that the movie didn't start with the Yakuza. It would have been a little more of a reveal if they found what was in the vault, and then you told me, like, that far into the movie, this is who it belongs to. We would have been like, wait, what? Because then when they show up, they are a real threat and everything. But I think these people are. It's very contemporary. It turns out the next episode is also a lot about this too. People are not only on the grift, which has become our national culture, and more so, they're also perfectly comfortable after being initially uncomfortable, justifying it. And so this is like, well, our town was going to fall apart. Our town was in real trouble. And then these guys came along and we were like, hey, this is no big deal. We can do this. Yeah. So it's actually very sad.
The point I was trying to make is that, I mean, I know you're making the metaphoric devil, but that's the point I was making. It's like in the other movies, it was the literal devil that they were, well, as far as if you believe in the devil, in that story universe, it was the actual devil they were making the deal with. It's not the real devil. It's a bad entity that they are making a deal with in this. So that was the point I was trying to make. This isn't like a horror movie. This is, I mean, unless you consider like people that will do bad things in the interest of like protecting their best interest. If that's horrifying.
Yeah, it's more Die Hard Fargo than a horror.
Yeah. What was somebody said? Oh, never mind. That's a note for the next movie. That's next week. So this is sort of the as far as how this movie kind of lays itself out. Like I feel like that this movie is a it has like this good setup in the beginning, and then I feel like once we get past the bank robbery part, then I kind of feel like it's like, oh, now it's just like a shootout movie, and so how much you like that kind of thing is gonna, I guess that's gonna dictate how much you actually like this movie, because I just was like, and I think part of the problem is that it seems like this movie, the beginning part is this movie kind of sat and gestated a while before they actually, as we were, did we say this before we started recording about how long they were trying to make this movie? But they had started, Bob Odenkirk and Derek Kolstad had started this when they first met on Nobody, collaborating on that, they had started talking about this movie, and Derek Kolstad started writing this movie. So it's kind of like he had this great idea in the beginning, this setup, and it seems like the movie seems very well paced, and it's a good setup. I mean, the whole introduction of the Yakuza in the beginning, you could debate whether or not that was a good idea. I kind of agree with you. Maybe it would have been a better reveal if they hadn't shown that. But regardless, I still feel like I felt like it was really kind of setting everything up really good. And then we get to the second half of the movie, and I'm kind of like, okay, like
it follows a classic movie structure.
It's a little too much for me.
It's a Western, except that the big shootout at the end is literally at least the second half of the movie, maybe more than the second half of the movie.
Yeah.
And so if that's just too much for you, if that becomes less interesting, I get that. That's obviously much more exceptionally violent and gory than a lot of the Westerns that followed that. I mean, there's one decent man who finds two bank robbers that are the closest to other decent people, and he finds one other character that's decent, and then they take on the whole town. And now part of the premise of the Nobody movies is that he used to be basically an assassin for the government. So he has all those skills. He has all those very special set of skills type of things. I kind of thought they were going to do that with this character, but they never really do. Yeah. Like he's smart, he's resourceful, he clearly has experience with weapons and things. So if you told me he was a veteran, that would be plausible. But it's not like he's there on a secret mission or whatever. He's just kind of a guy drifting around between these essentially temp sheriff jobs, and then he ends up in this town, and this town is basically going to kill him, and then they can't. And I found that the beginning of the movie, it was to me it felt very Ben Wheatley. It wasn't. I wasn't bored for the first 35 minutes of the movie or whatever, but it wasn't quite holding my interest, and it kind of lulled me. And I remember thinking, well, it's a Ben Wheatley movie. It's going to lull me until something happens, and whatever happens will be quite dramatic. And what happens is a bank robbery that is ultimately quite violent, but also kind of funny. And these people are incompetent, and they're ending up putting their guns down and giving CPR and nitroglycerin to a guy that was there. Like the whole thing is just kind of ridiculous, and that's what makes the reveal pop off, because Bob Odenkirk is like, I'm going to walk into the bank and try to de-escalate and negotiate this, and then his deputies try to kill him, and then you find out what you suspected, which is there's something going on in this town, and what's going on is the whole town.
Yeah, like they didn't hit you over the head with that, because how many times was the mayor going to say, "We really like your light touch. We really like the way that laid back." It's like,
I think they're recruiting him.
I'm like, oh my god.
Well, and it's Henry Winkler.
That you're trying to, but
Henry Winkler is just
it's the character,
right? But I mean, Henry Winkler is just like he's so sweet and charming, and he's your dad, he's your grandpa, he's your sweet English teacher or something. And so, I wasn't sure at the beginning when we first met him, like is this Ben Gazzara from Roadhouse? Like, what exactly kind of vibe is this? But his vibe was, I'm pretty relaxed and you seem pretty relaxed. So, why don't you stay in our quiet town? When really what he was doing was trying to feel out whether he would join them. They had no concern that maybe he would discover something and then reveal them because they would just kill him.
But I felt like he was trying to make the point, like, I felt like he was trying to gently guide him into, like, don't do anything more than you're doing. Just lay back. Just come here. Just enjoy your. Also, it was funny. I think they asked Derek Kolstad, is interim sheriff a real thing? And he goes, I don't know.
Yeah, who cares?
I know, right? It's like he's like, I don't know. And you know what? That on that point, I'm fine with that.
If you told me Neo was a temp in the office when he got contacted by Morpheus, I'd be like, I mean, okay, I don't care if he was a temp clerk or a temp data entry.
But are there really like it's almost reminded me of it's like Sean Connery in Outland. Like they just is there a federal like program where they're like, oh hey, it's a sheriff that needs a home temporarily. We'll set you up here. Here you go. Because that's how it kind of felt like with Outland.
This is in contemporary America, so it's probably a private company that sold its services, and this town can afford it. So.
Really.
Because that's the whole premise, is that they are doing and protecting terrible things for a cut. Yeah. And that's it. And, they can justify it like, oh, our town was dying and now we're going to be okay. Because there's a little hint. I don't even remember. There's a little hint when you first, when the movie really just begins and Bob Odenkirk is in the car with his deputy who's wearing a motorcycle jacket that crinkles but doesn't have a motorcycle yet.
Very loud jacket.
Yeah, very loud.
And you mean the way it looks?
Yeah, right. No. But as he's driving through the town, that's a good scene that sets up the both characters, which makes Crinkle Jacket a little more surprising when he really is one of the most violent.
Oh, and he was the brother-in-law in Nobody, which they did a good job of.
Oh yes, that's right. I was trying to figure out where I knew him from.
But I think it's a testament that guy's a pretty good actor.
Oh, he is.
He's such a kind of a wishy-washy kind of dweeb in this movie, and he was kind of came across like alpha male dick in Nobody. Mm-hmm. But
he's more frightening in this one. But they drive down Main Street and people are waving at them and whatever, and they drive past a banner that, congratulations, we raised $16.8 million for the town hall. He's like, wow, how does this town come up with that money? Just sort of casually asking. And Crinkle Jacket goes, well, the community really came together. Yeah. You find out later that that's what's funding it. But, the thing is, I think a big part of the normal is, if you've done any traveling in America, you've seen that town. Uh-huh. And if you've done any of that traveling in America in the past, 50 years, you've seen that town dying.
Yeah, that's true.
That it wasn't like all this money came in and then all of a sudden it was full of boutiques or something. It looked like a small town that was doing okay. And I think that was part of it too, because being normal implies low profile, so they didn't want to get anybody's attention.
Well, I think also it's a really real fear. I mean, I know some people might be like, depending on where you are in the world or even in the United States, you might be like, well, is a town really going to go bankrupt? Yes. Yeah. Have you seen Gary, Indiana? Gary, Indiana is a place I've heard of, and that town's gone. It is gone. People actually go there, like people have gone into exploring. There's nobody there. The town's completely, but it's like, this isn't like some place that had a few
it's not like a coal mining town that went dead. Yes, this was a full place. Like, there was a huge high school completely abandoned. People walk through. They do videos. They walk through the town. It's gone. So it's a very real fear that in Gary, Indiana. I don't know at its height how many people lived there, but Gary, Indiana was. I mean, it's a small town, but it wasn't like. I'm sure it was. This place had. They said what, like 1,800 people. 1,890 people. And I started to get worried. Wait, is he gonna have to kill all of them? Is there gonna be a scene where kids show up with revolvers?
Yeah, really.
There isn't. Just to be clear.
No, there's not. But it's like if a place like Gary, Indiana can go can basically fall off the face of the earth, then I mean that can really happen to a lot of these places that are even smaller. So it's a real fear. So you can see why these people are somewhat motivated to be complicit in this sort of this whole idea.
Look, not having to worry.
Yeah.
Like all the time about making rent, getting groceries, keeping your kids clothed, stuff like that.
Well,
that's very tempting.
Money
and so
for the infrastructure,
right? But I mean, everybody in that town is financially okay.
Yeah,
and that is something that they decide is worth protecting to the point where I mean, there's a lot of destruction in the town.
Yeah,
but part of it is like, well, whatever, we can just rebuild it. So we have so much money. So it's. Part of it is of course it's not a normal town.
Yeah.
That's not a solution that a lot of places get to come up with. But the idea
except for this town in Shelby Springs in the next
but Shelby Springs in Rebel Ridge is much more realistic.
Yeah, that's true.
And we'll talk about that and the way that they use actual real laws and what they're doing and why they're doing it. And I think that movie, both of these movies are definitely politically connected to what's happening in this country right now.
Sure.
And the history of this country. That one is more realistic. Mm-hmm. But I also think both this movie and the Nobody movies basically say if you put money ahead of everything to the point where you're murdering people, torturing people, all that kind of stuff. What I'm about to say isn't controversial, but like you are genuinely bad.
Yeah.
I would say pretty much everybody in this movie that dies, you're kind of like, oh, that's cool. I mean, like, there is some weird Home Alone shit in the movie with the way some people die. I'm not really sure what that's about, other than it's just kind of quirky. But if you look at, have you seen both Nobody movies?
No, I haven't seen the second one. Mostly the first one.
So you remember in Nobody, the big thing that becomes, because basically the Russian mob,
but the money
essentially antagonizes Bob Odenkirk and goes after him. Yeah. But it's all about protecting the Obshak.
Yeah,
which is this giant bucket of Russian
it's the
mob
retirement
money.
It's like the 401k.
And the villain is the guy who's charged with protecting it.
Yeah.
So it's like this movie, if he screws up, then the bigger guys are going to come kill him. If the town screws up, the Yakuza are coming to town, and they do. But Nobody 2 is also got Sharon Stone, who's protecting essentially her Obshak of all this money. So it's like, okay, so are all Bob Odenkirk movies going to be about, like, because that was one of the things in the movie. He basically gets control of the situation by working with the old sheriff's daughter, who's got a terrible drug problem and was exiled and all this other stuff, and that's one of his few allies. And they wire up the vault with all of the literal gold and guns and drugs and all this stuff and cash
with C4.
They wired up with C4 and threatened to blow it up. And controlling that money and threatening its destruction physically is literally Nobody 2. It's also Dark Knight, but I think it's interesting because it is compelling, because you believe that these guys that are the villains, they will do anything to stop you from doing that. Now, I will say, spoiler, they don't blow up the vault.
Yeah,
which is a little disappointing because it's like Chekhov's C4 or something.
Yeah,
and I kind of wanted that.
It's funny that you say that, because I had that feeling about when you see his gun in the beginning, and I thought, I was like, we were getting further and further in the movie. I'm like, and I'm thinking Chekhov's gun or rifle, whatever.
Chekhov's gun.
Gun. Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking rifle.
Well, that is also a gun.
But it was but you know what I mean. The idea in storytelling is that if you make a point to show something important in the beginning, then obviously you want to show it in the beginning, or at the end, or some point later on. And when he finds the old sheriff's gun, and I was like, it kept going on and on. I'm like, they're going to show that gun again, right?
Right.
And they eventually do. But I was like, I was like, this, because I felt like this story, to me, it felt very much like, I'm like, did someone like crack open Save the Cat? And like, because that's what I felt like.
Maybe.
It felt it felt, when it wasn't going like almost like following almost like a paint by number structure, it was just like shoot 'em up and like I don't know, man. I wanted to like this movie more than I did. I'm not saying this is like a terrible movie, but it just was not. I was just having a hard time getting into it. I felt like this movie was trying to go like once it abandons that like nice kind of setup, it turns into Hot Fuzz. But Hot Fuzz was a lot better because I felt like Hot Fuzz never. I feel like nobody tries to pretend like it's something more than it is sometimes. I feel like I'm not saying it's trying to act like it's serious. Like I don't think like Normal ever tries to pretend like it's Heat, but I also don't feel like it tries to pretend like sometimes like it's not like a comedy sometimes too. And
I mean it is funny.
It's funny, but I feel like sometimes it's pretending like it's not. Like I feel like Hot Fuzz always knows what it is. And always kind of, so it does some ridiculous stuff and the funny stuff. And I feel like, I just felt like Hot Fuzz stayed in its lane better and made me enjoy it because it did that. Where I feel like Normal was like what's going on? And let me tell you, the amount of, and I understand they're trying to be funny and stuff like that, but the amount of, good fortune coincidences that happened was really bothering me because one rule they tell you in writing when you're
talking
writing,
about like the Home Alone stuff.
Yeah, when you're writing a coincidence that goes in favor of the protagonist. At most, you should have one. None if you can help it, but one. And then, of course, bad fortune coincidences you can have as many as you want because that's what increases the tension. And I feel like that's just like a basic writing. And you had the bank manager shoots himself in the head. You had the guy that gets killed by the fundraiser sign, thermometer. You had the woman who had the receptionist has the car fall on her after she falls down. It's like, and there's probably more of those, but it was like,
what's like slapstick, kind of reference.
And then you even had, and I have to say, like the whole thing at the end where they were eating and the gun falls and shoots the Yakuza which
they did
boss.
Set up. They literally have a gun on the wall hanging.
But they set it up. I mean, talk about Chekhov's gun, right? But like, even though they did set it up, it just seemed, and that's a bad consequence. It just felt like
that's silly.
It was silly, but like silly, like I didn't feel like it wasn't in it. I was like, okay.
Well, also, I mean, it's a movie. It's a Western. It's going to have a shootout. The movie's been doing shootouts, but then you knew that movie. I mean, I couldn't have told you exactly what was going to happen, obviously, but that was a pleasant meal that was going to end in extreme violence. So that's how they started.
But I know, but I don't like the way they started.
I don't blame you. Yeah, no, it didn't bother me as much, but
I love the way, like, if something would have happened that would have caused, like, triggered something, like if there was been some kind of reveal in the conversation, but having the gun just randomly fall off the wall and shoot the guy in the head was such a letdown to me. Like, it would have been so much better if maybe the guy took his hat off and he saw his ear and like
I gotcha.
They would have like had something like that. And then like I love like the flipping over the tables and they're all shooting each other and the one person shoots and like the gun and it goes through like all the people sitting down. Like that stuff's cool, but I just hated the way it started. And I was like, ugh.
Well, it's funny because the movie, like Hot Fuzz, a big part of the agenda of Hot Fuzz, at which it is very good, is I don't want to say mocking because it doesn't hate them or anything, but it's basically having a lot of fun with action movies.
Yeah,
right?
And a lot of the action tropes,
right,
visually and story,
right, and that's deliberate and it's well done and it's fun and that movie is a good time. And it is also about a small town that has a big secret that everybody's in on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like the big shootout in I guess it's the yarn store in Normal. Yeah, is really fun. And then it ends with her getting a needle in her eye, in her chin, up through her eye, whatever. It's very gory. But this movie its references are more classic. It's a Western, which is really as much a movie reference as a book reference. But it's also an Odyssey reference. I mean, he's not named Ulysses by accident. Yeah. He had a traumatic event where you see he shot someone to protect a woman, and then his Odyssey is doing these temp jobs, and he is trying to get back together to his wife, which is the Odyssey. The whole thing is those literary references, which I think are fine. It doesn't make it richer for me. Yeah.
It almost feels tacked on though. You know what I mean?
Well, it's how the movie is structured. I just if his name was Bob, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is the Odyssey in a more satisfying way.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
that's fine that this isn't a Coen Brothers movie about crime either, but it's I think it's striving to be a bunch of different things at once, like literally like a slapstick comedy, a very exciting, John Wick style action movie, a reference to, classic literature, like all this kind of stuff. Do you think that the Odyssey, that they call Odysseus Ulysses when they released that movie in Italy? I wonder. But I think it doesn't succeed at all of those as well as like what you're saying with Hot Fuzz succeeds at what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
So the movie is fun, but it is kind of light.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's something
which
about,
is okay.
I don't feel. I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's fine. Like as far as like, once again, it's not one of these movies where I'm like, oh my god, this was terrible. But it was just like I feel like also like you bring in someone like Cersei Lannister and like you have such a underwhelming like character.
They don't do much with her. In her last scene, you're waiting for what happens to happen, reaching out of the cell.
Yeah, I figured. Well, what at first like it comes like. First, I thought she was probably going to be. I thought, oh, she might be end up being like an ally. And when it comes that the betrayal.
Oh, you mean Lena Headey's character?
Yes. Yeah. And when it comes, and you're kind of like, okay. And at first, I was almost like, I almost got like such like whiplash from like her like such an evil turn. Like so, like she shows up, and that's fine. That happens sometimes. But like, it didn't feel like something about it. Like there was. It didn't feel like a something felt false about it to me, and it was like I was almost like, is she when she first shoots him? You're like, is this part of like a greater plan? I'm not seeing here.
Oh, you mean like on his side?
Yeah, like she's really on his side. And she's doing something for a reason, and then she's talking, and like it seemed like the whole idea of like how she killed the old sheriff seemed kind of convoluted, and I'm like, okay, like.
Well, you have to remember, like. Again, we'll talk about Rebel Ridge next week, but Rebel Ridge, a question.
All right, Elmer.
I don't know what that was, but a question.
Are you hunting weapons?
No, I'm hunting weasons. I think part of what the question is in Rebel Ridge and movies like that are more realistic is, are there any good people in this type of thing? Yeah. And in this movie, no, but it's not a surprise. Yeah. Like they're all villains, and it's funny. Also, both movies have grenade launchers, and they're very different because one of them is like, I don't want to hurt anyone, and this one blows up Henry Winkler, which is kind of silly.
Although I do think it's funny that both characters have in mind that they want to de-escalate. One actually does.
Yeah, one tries harder.
Tries a lot harder. But I mean, like the thing about it is, I think like the things that you're saying, like I agree with you, like the idea of like, oh, we're setting it up like a Western and we're doing this and that. But I feel like there's something, but to me, so it's sort of like I feel like they outlined it all, and it makes like logical, for the most part, like sense, like, okay, we go here, and here, because, this is an allegory to, the Odyssey. It's a Western, whatever. But like, it doesn't feel like the connections don't feel satisfying. They don't feel, to me, they don't feel like it, and it's, I mean, I guess some people can watch it like on a level and be like, oh, okay, I'm okay with that. But for me, it was like really bothering me because I felt like the Alex character and Moira, the Moira character, they just felt really light. They didn't feel very fleshed out. I had no emotional impact. So like when Moira's portrayal had zero emotional impact on me. Like I wasn't like, oh my god, she betrayed him. Like I didn't care.
Well, it's because we didn't spend a lot of time with them before. Know. I mean, Ben Wheatley's movies also have a pretty distinct look, and the conversation between those two characters, between temp sheriff and bartender in her bar, the way that's shot is actually pretty beautiful, and the way it's framed is really interesting. And I was like, this really looks like a Ben Wheatley movie, and that's kind of cool. But then you don't really see her again, because there's
she just shows up, and you're like,
but I mean, when she showed up, I was like, oh, am I supposed to feel that this is some kind of betrayal? Because he already found two unlikely allies in bank robbers.
Yeah.
who were concerned about the most important thing, which is, can we get back to our dog and keep her safe? So obviously I respect that, because it is a John Wick universe.
I know. I was like, in the back of my head, I was like, are they going to?
Yeah. You know what's funny? It's entirely
dog?
possible that this older script could have been a version older than John Wick, where they did kill the dog. I don't know.
I like how like they made a point to say, we left the heater on. I was like, that they did that specifically for people like us that are going like,
is that dog okay? Yeah.
Is that dog okay?
Well, and and they're driving around the big, they call it a snowplow. It's a front end loader for snow removal. But that kind of reminded me of 30 Days of Night and stuff like that, like driving through the town with that kind of stuff. Those characters just kind of literally drive out of the movie, but they get their dog first. And then the other, I don't even know, it's unlikely. Like, you really don't meet her character until the old sheriff's daughter, until Bob Odenkirk sits in the car with her and is like, you really shouldn't be drinking and driving. Give me a drink.
Yeah.
And then they chat, and then he finds out who she is and what her story is. And when you see her before, she's clearly, an addict and on the outside and everything. And she knows that her father wasn't a villain like this, and that they killed him and all that kind of stuff. So once you realize who she is, she's a more likely ally. So I guess that they really wanted to draw the line between, no, really, guys, watching this movie, everybody in the town is bad. And she's been exiled from the community of the town, so she's not part of the town, so she doesn't have to be bad. And these two bank robbers are just kind of coming through, so the town is bad. And I was like, I get that.
I feel like...
But if you wanted the bar owner to become an ally, that's not implausible to me, but you'd have to have a scene where Bob Odenkirk talks to her and it's like, you don't have to be this naughty, you can be a decent person, and it's not that kind of movie.
But I didn't necessarily, I didn't care. I wanted to feel something when she betrayed him. I don't care if she became his ally or not. That wasn't a concern.
But my question is, did she even betray him? Like, she showed up as a townsperson and she shot him.
Okay,
and they had a nice conversation, but it's not like they were dating
betrayal,
or something.
No, and you're right. But she lent him an ear, and he poured out his personal story,
right?
And so
because she's a bartender,
and you thought that maybe she was a decent person because of that, and that's probably fair. And it's probably a misdirect. It's intentional. Like, oh, hey, this is a someone that is, I kind of feel like that's an intentional someone who appears to be good just for like whatever, just like general reasons that end up not being good is an intentional misdirect, which I feel like something I want to bring up, that I feel like they kind of do the opposite thing in Rebel Ridge, where somebody you think is bad for general reasons. But,
spoilers, that is a better movie.
Yeah, well, no, it definitely is. But I feel like I wanted to feel a little something, whether it's not an actual betrayal. I just wanted to feel a little more emotional impact.
That's fair.
Like she's gonna take him out. I also think this is what I found to be interesting, is that other than Bob Odenkirk, other than the Ulysses character, the only other character that's really fleshed out is a character that's been dead since the movie started, which is the old sheriff. Those are the only two characters that I feel like I really learned anything about, because I feel like I learned a lot about the old sheriff.
That's true. That's
and
fair.
I learned a lot about Bob Odenkirk. I feel like I learned like nothing about anybody else.
We did learn something about the head of the Yakuza. He's very impatient. He demands loyalty. He's very greedy. Yeah. His English is not good. His translator, frankly, is not particularly efficient, although his translator loves him like a Smithers relationship.
Yeah, I think so.
But here's the thing about that, Scott, honestly. And this is not a criticism of you and how you want the movie to be, and it's not a criticism of the movie. Yeah. It's not that kind of movie. Which is not really good, because John Wick has great characters that you know about and all that kind of stuff. But this movie, I feel like it didn't try to do that. I would have found it a better movie if it had tried to do more of that with more of the characters, because you started to get a sense of Henry Winkler and then he exploded. And you're like, oh, that's the joke of the movie, is that anybody could die at any time. So when the postman shows up with a pair of revolvers and starts shooting at them, had we met him before? Had we anything to do with him? And then he dies in the Home Alone sign thing. Like, that's all fine. One of the few characters that I got a sense of was the soda jerk guy. Yeah. And he really liked that interim sheriff liked his milkshake when they were negotiating how they're going to get out of something. But then he gets shot immediately too when he grabs a gun. So the whole thing is like, let's just mow through all these characters. And I guess we talked about Crinkle Jacket, and then the other deputy who gets his ear shot off. We get a little bit of a sense of him, but he survived the movie, right? Or did he? Yeah, no, the three of them at the end.
No. He has Crinkle Jacket has
no, not Crinkle Jacket. The guy without an ear.
Yeah.
So the three of them are sitting there at the end of the movie. Yeah,
but I mean, like, I don't. When you say it's not that kind of the movie, I mean, any kind of movie can have emotional depth.
I agree. Yeah, and this movie, but my thing is, I don't know that this movie tried.
It didn't.
Right.
That's the problem.
Which is, in some ways, it's better than if it tried and did it poorly, just because it's decided, like, we're this kind of action movie.
I mean,
and a John Wick movie and nobody there's just more to them in terms of character development and stuff like that. Like, I remember little characters in Nobody, like the Black Russian guy. Yeah. Like, I remember his death scene when he's, explaining who he is for a moment, and then Bob Odenkirk responds, and then he's already dead. Like I remember that because it's just more vivid characterization and all that kind of stuff. And this movie doesn't do that.
Yeah, because I connected a lot more with the characters in Nobody than I did in this movie. This movie just, I don't know. Like I said,
you wanted more Michael Ironside because he's good for every movie, and you want more RZA because he's good for every movie.
I just felt like it was it just wasn't. I mean, I understand, obviously, because even with comedies, you can have emotional connections, and this was just like And I mean, like, I'm not saying I wanted to make me laugh and cry and whatever. I just wanted to care when things happened, and I just didn't care about anybody.
I get it. Yeah, I was not. There was nobody.
I'm glad they didn't blow up the moose. That's what I cared about.
That's true. The moose was.
I was worried they might blow up the moose.
That's totally possible.
I cared about the dog. I cared about the moose.
And I was glad that Henry Winkler got to see the moose that he had never seen in person before he blew up.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too. I felt like there were a lot of boxes they were just trying to check off, and I kind of felt like when he saw the moose, he was like, "Well, of course he's going to die now." I mean, because it's supposed to be like what he said, like a symbol of like strength and endurance or whatever like that. I'm like, well, he saw the moose, he's going to die like now, and he did. So
that's true.
Yeah. So I mean, I just felt like there was that's the thing about it. It was like I felt like they were working their way through a checklist when they wrote this, rather than just writing a story. I mean, a good story is you have a character who has a certain set of beliefs, and then those beliefs dictate how they navigate the story that you put before them. And I feel like that's what Nobody did. That's not what this movie did. I just don't feel like, you know what I mean? It was reactive. It wasn't just, I don't know. And I hate it because I really wanted to like this movie. I'm the one to suggest that we watch this movie, and I really wanted to, and I was just like,
I mean, I clearly had more fun with it than you did. So like, I'd watch it again. It was fun.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
but no, I know you're not. I don't hear you saying that you hate it or that like this script ruined the movie or anything like that. But it is also hard not to compare it to the other movies that Derek Kolstad has written that are some of the best action movies ever made. And Bob Odenkirk, action hero, was such a revelation that he was doing it. Yeah. Never mind that he pulled it off.
I know. I gotta watch Nobody too.
Oh, it's Nobody too. It's the same movie, and it's fun.
You
should watch it. You should watch it. It's a good time.
Hey, you wouldn't? Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit of an interesting fact. Do you know what movie this opened up against?
What?
One of your favorite movies?
Project Hail Mary.
Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
Oh, yes. I finally finished watching Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
I remember you were saying
it. And it took me 8 days.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of myself.
Portions.
You know what? It might be better than Evil Dead Burn.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. But that I saw in the theater. So I will tell you, the biggest problem with Evil Dead Burn is the worst thing a movie can be. I was bored.
Yeah.
And I was there with a friend, and apparently we were both sitting there not telling each other, like about 40 minutes in, do you just want to leave?
Well, that's...
like, we could go get a drink next door or something. Yeah.
Man. Well,
because it was boring. It wasn't like terribly made or what. It was just boring.
We talk about story matters, and there is really, truly, the one overriding rule in all stories is don't be boring. That is the number one. Everything else is secondary to that.
Yeah.
Because you can write a goofy story. You can write a story that doesn't follow any kind of other established rules. If it's boring, nobody gives a shit.
Right.
And so, and that's the thing. So, because once somebody puts that book down, turns off the TV, walks out of the theater, the story's done for them, for that person.
I mean, look, I'm glad that I watched Normal. As I said, I'd watched it again. It was fun, and I'm glad that sorry, Lee, that it wasn't Lee Cronin's Normal.
I mean, like I would,
especially because Lee Cronin's Evil Dead Rise is an absolute blast of a movie. So it's
I wouldn't because like here's the thing about this. Like if once again, if this was one of those movies that was like if it was on cable, it was I would watch it. I would not pay $5 to watch this again. I'll say that. That's fair. That's my standard for this. So, I mean, I didn't really have. I mean, I didn't really feel like there was anything specific, like any technical stuff that really stood out to me. I mean, it was just kind of.
They shot it in
35 millimeter
Manitoba.
Oh yeah.
So it looks like Minnesota.
Yeah.
Or wherever is normal supposed to be in Minnesota, right?
Yeah. Normal Minnesota. Yep.
It was funny. I really wish that they hadn't introduced who the big bads were behind everything in the beginning, because that scene is pretty intense, and then it ends with a Kill Bill beheading, squirting kind of thing. Yeah, like you feel which was a little. Then we don't see those characters again till they have to fly there.
The movie's only an hour and like 31 minutes.
What
if they added that? They're like, wait, we need to flesh this out a little bit.
It could be. I don't know. I don't think that the movie is. For what it's doing, I don't think it's too short. It definitely doesn't need another 20 minutes or anything. No. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess
if they were like, they had to hit it at like
maybe
90 minutes.
Right, like maybe it was an 80.
Got to get 90 minutes.
It was 84 minutes, or like I go technically, what is 70 minutes is a feature, but nobody makes 70 minutes.
No, nobody. I mean, like, well, if you see a 70-minute movie, you're like, that movie's probably no good.
Yeah, well, that's like 4 Christopher Nolan movies. One Christopher Nolan has 4 of those movies, because Odyssey is what 173 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know the Odyssey. I saw. Well, you know what? I'll talk about this after we're done the episode, because I don't want to get.
Also, we should see the Odyssey first, which we will be doing
and then we can talk
shortly.
about that. But remind me when we talk about the Odyssey. I'm going to talk about the IMAX presentation as far as the actual film. I watched them load up the. They did a thing on Instagram where they showed them loading it up. It's pretty amazing. Anyway. But that is not normal.
And you said did they shoot normal. This? Did you say they shot this on film?
Yeah, apparently they shot it on 35 millimeter, and they showed it like in I don't know. I'd have to look. I was going to put it in my notes, and I was like, I didn't put it in there. But they did shoot it on 35 millimeter, which I was surprised.
I mean, that's neat.
It's neat. Yeah. I mean, I guess when you don't shoot, I guess you didn't have to use a lot of film because the film was short.
Well, they could have said we shot it on 35 millimeter because we were making a Western. But it's not like the way that it's shot and framed and blocked that it's evoking High Noon or something like that. So
the other thing too is I don't feel like, and this is the last thing that I kind of say about like what kind of didn't really like about it was that they I don't feel like the character went through much of an arc either. Like I don't feel like he was changed afterwards. After he I don't feel like he's any different. He just went to another town.
Well, he went to a town that was warmer.
Yeah, there you go.
His wife picked up the phone, so he's like Odysseus. He made it home. We just didn't see it all the way home. But like he was trying to get back.
Penny.
Well, he was trying to get back to her. Yeah, Penny. I wonder if that's a reference to Penelope, Odysseus' wife.
Penelope.
So
no, but I mean, yeah. So I know, really. I know when I heard that, I was like, but yeah.
Is that actually the noise that you made?
I something similar to that.
Nice.
My dog like lifted her head. She was like, "What?"
Well, she probably thought that you had crinkled some snacks or something.
Maybe. I probably thought she wanted her Ritz crackers.
There you go.
But
that's not a euphemism.
She loves Ritz crackers. She does.
This episode not brought to you by Ritz, but we would be open to that conversation.
Yes. So, yeah. Well, that's pretty much it. I didn't have anything else to say about this movie.
I think we're good.
I think we're good. I think that's all. I think that's a wrap on Normal.
My big recommendation, did you like the Nobody movies? See Normal. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it's as good, but it's fun.
It's fun. I mean, like, honestly, I would say wait till it's on a streaming service and then watch it. I don't know if I would.
That's fair.
I don't know if I would. I would not spend like $6 to watch this. But I think it's if you like the Nobody movies, that's a good barometer for whether or not you would like this movie. Although I do think if you liked, I haven't seen the second one. If you like the first Nobody, good grief.
This could be the first Normal. We don't know.
Maybe if you did, but if you liked the Nobody, just temper your expectations. It's not as good as Nobody.
That's fair.
So
that's fair.
Hey, we'll be back next week to talk about Rebel Ridge, which is Stephen King said is the thinking man's First Blood. So,
I mean, it is have a vibe with that movie.
Sure.
I don't know that First Blood isn't for thinking people.
No. No. That's the point. He's saying it's the thinking man's First Blood.
No, but I mean, I think First Blood is this very interesting, thoughtful movie. So that's
you think so?
Absolutely. People can connect it to the other Rambo movies, but First Blood is actually about something that's the other movies aren't really about. So.
But I think well, you know, we'll talk about it in the next episode. Hey, follow us on your favorite podcast platform or directly at www.storypunk.com. We're also on Instagram at StoryPunkPod, and you can check out our Facebook page for updates. And if you want to see us talk about review movies in the written form, and it will not be as long as the Odyssey. It will be, as far as you know, written out.
It'll be shorter than normal as well.
Yes. It'll be shorter than normal. I don't know why that's funny to me. I am on Letterboxd as Storypunk Scott, and Drew is on Letterboxd as well, and he will tell us now what his handle is.
Solid Gould.
Yes. And that's pretty much it for this episode. Well, it's not pretty much it. It is it. And remember, story matters.